and welcome to another episode of Learning to Live in the Present Moment. My name is Ted Robinson, and I'm your host today. I was recently watching the Grammy Awards, and in the middle of the whole thing, when the Best Album of the Year was awarded, and Beck received the award, Kanye West stormed the stage, or charged the stage, and was about to take over the microphone, and he then got to the point where he suddenly looked around and saw this whole audience and remembered he had done this a year or two ago with another younger artist, Taylor Swift, and had made a whole big to-do about how she should give her award to somebody else. And so he sort of went like that and smiled and walked away. But he disclosed what was really on his mind at an interview after the event, saying that Beck should have given up the award and given it to Beyonce because she's the better artist and he should know it, and he's tired of the world playing with him, all these judges playing with him. And I don't know what your image or impression was, but my impression, my gut instinct was to say, what an arrogant idiot. Didn't he learn the first time? But I thought about it after a while, and I started realizing that this was a perfect example of the arrogance of the ego that believes it's right and everybody else is wrong. And I started really thinking about it, and I said, you know, the interesting thing is everybody has that same ego. Now, don't recoil on me and say, what are you, crazy? I don't act like him. I'm not like him. But I would tell you that we are all like him. It's just that we may not show it as openly. We may not be as convinced of our being correct and everybody else being wrong. But when you're a big star and you've won Grammys and you've won this and you've won that, suddenly you get convinced that the whole world thinks you know everything and they don't know anything. And when somebody makes a choice or a judgment different than yours, you've got to tell them that they're wrong. And that's exactly what Kanye West did a couple of years ago. And this year, he just caught himself the last possible second and walked away. But here's the thing. When I say everybody has that same ego, let me give you a good example. I was in my car the other day, and I was driving down the street, and I was going to make a left turn. And there was a car right ahead of me. So here I am waiting with my left turn signal, thinking I'm being very patient. And I'm looking ahead to see the oncoming cars, to see if that car ahead of me should be able to make the left turn. And it just seems to me, my ego, that nobody ever makes the turn. They have plenty of time and they don't make the turn. And by the time they don't make the second or third turn that they could have made, my ego is boiling over. What's the matter with these people? Why don't they make the turn? They're idiots. They don't know how to drive. And I'm going to get left at the light. You ever thought that? That's just your ego judging the situation. And that's the whole point of this. All of these things that I'm talking about are the ego, and everybody has one, judging the situation and saying, what's wrong with them? They don't have as good a judgment as I have. They're doing it wrong. This one's doing it wrong. That one's doing it wrong. I know what should be done, and they're not doing it my way. And that's what the ego always does. It wants everything my way. And that's the problem we all get into at one point or another, in one way or another. They did a survey of drivers, and you know what they said? 98% of drivers said they were excellent drivers. Well, that hasn't been my experience in life. I don't know about yours, but 98% were excellent drivers. That means that everybody thinks they're the best driver in the world, pretty much, other than 2%, which has probably got a margin of error of 1 or 2%. So everybody is pretty much saying, I'm an excellent driver. Is that your experience? It hasn't been mine. I'm sure some of them think I'm a terrible driver. And I'm sure I think many of them are terrible drivers. But it's all our egos at work, judging situations and really thinking that I'm right and you're wrong. And that is what keeps us from presence. The ego is the only thing that keeps us from presence. That's right. Because when the ego mind, the conscious mind, is quiet, you're in presence. It's an automatic. The truest test of whether or not you are present is if you're thinking. If you're not thinking, you are present. If you are thinking, you're not present. It's just that simple. So, in reality, most of us are very rarely present. Would that be a fair statement? Most of us are constantly thinking about something, judging something, taking ourselves back into the past or into the future. All those things are the purpose of the ego, is to take us into all those things: judgment, past, and future. Just that simple. And that makes up about 90 or 95% of our thoughts throughout the day, because most of our thoughts are recurrent thoughts, the same thought over and over and over again. And all of that takes us out of presence, into the ego, into the past, into the future, and into judgment. Now, when it comes to judgment, and that's what we're talking about with Kanye West, when we talk about judgment, we talk about the issue of, well, what's wrong with judgment? We need judgment, and Kanye West might actually be right. Maybe Beck's album wasn't as good as Beyonce's, but a bunch of appointed judges said it was, chose it to be the best album of the year. But the difference is Kanye West said, no, 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 you're all wrong. And that's when we start getting into trouble. When we start believing that our ego is superior, smarter, better than everybody else's ego. We, in fact, judge that I'm smarter than you. I make better judgments than you. And as a result, we suffer. A good example is Kanye again. A year or two ago, I don't know whether it was a year or two ago, when he charged the stage, took the microphone from Taylor Swift and started telling everybody how Taylor should give the Grammy Award to somebody else. But here's the problem. Once that happened, Kanye West took a lot of heat in the media, just like he took a lot of heat recently after the Grammys. Everybody's like, oh, what are you doing? Didn't you learn your lesson the first time? And by the way, Kanye West did learn his lesson to some degree. And here's what it was. Kanye first, immediately, his ego went right into charge mode. And he charged the stage, went up the 3 or 4 steps onto the stage, and just was about to grab the mic when he realized, uh-oh, they're all watching me. I'm doing it again. I don't want to take that kind of heat again. And so he went, and smiled, like making it, he was playing it off. In reality, this is what happens with the ego. And this is how I'm going to explain to you how to actually change that ego that tends to run our lives after a while. I'll be right back to tell you all about it. Don't go away. Welcome back. So, how do you overcome the ego that overcomes your life, that takes away your presence, that takes you further and further away from presence and into suffering? Well, just like Kanye West, you learn from your mistakes. Or you just like being beaten up in the media, or beaten up by friends, family, relatives, whatever, spouses. Because here's what happens. When your ego gets so carried away that you have to tell everybody that you know it all, that you're the smartest in the crowd, that you're the best, you know, look at me, my, mine, everything's about me. Well, you're going to get a lot of heat. You're going to lose friends. You're going to form enemies. You're going to suffer. And that's what most people are doing. They're suffering. And suffering is a good thing. Let me explain why. Because when you suffer, you get desperate after a while. You say, I can't live this way anymore. You ever said that? I have to change this way of living. I have to do something about my life. You ever heard those words? Coming from your own mouth? Well, that's the opportunity of crisis, of suffering. When you're in true suffering, you want change, you're willing to make changes. You're willing to say, you know what, ego? Step aside here. I have to do something different. I'm tired of suffering. I don't like this suffering. I want to change this suffering. And when that happens, when that truly happens, that's when you learn. You know, life is just about learning. It's about having experiences and judging those experiences. If you like the experience, you want to do it again. If you don't like the experience, you say, I'll never do that again. Talk to the hand. Well, that's what Kanye learned from. When the whole thing with Taylor Swift a couple of years ago, he shot his mouth off. He made a complete and utter arrogant fool of himself and took a lot of heat. And a lot of people jumped on him. You can guarantee that. Jumped all over him. And so this time, he couldn't control the ego running up to the stage. But when he realized, uh-oh, they're looking. Uh-oh, I'm in the spotlight. Uh-oh, the same thing's going to happen again. He backed off. He said, just a joke, and walked away. But it's a great opportunity from which we can learn, because we can see that the way to change the ego's actions of making everything about me and how I know the best way and how I have to drag you into the past with all my resentments, my angers, my sorrows, or into the future with all my anxiety and my fear and worry, or into judgment of I know better than everybody. You can learn and say, you know what? I don't want to do that again. The last time I did that, it didn't work out well. I suffered for months, years. I don't want to suffer like that again. And that's called modification of our feelings. How we change our life is to have bad experiences so we change our future experiences. That's how it works. And so, you know, I always tell people the worst experiences in your life turned into the best lessons in your life. That's what this is about. Now, there's another part of this that's really important for you to know about, and I'll be back in just a moment to explain that to you. Don't go away. Welcome back. So there's another way of doing this. When you really want to change the ego's activities or actions or reactions or judgments, what you need to do is bring mindfulness to it. Now, how do you do that? And what is mindfulness? Well, mindfulness is just becoming the watcher. When you start to actually watch the ego as it plays its little games out, like Kanye West. Kanye had no control over his ego initially when somebody other than Beyonce, who he has some sort of connection to, didn't get the award. Everybody else went, okay, she didn't get the award. But not Kanye. I know best. And off he shoots right up to the stage, 3 steps up. And now what happened? In that moment, his ego realized they're all looking at me. They all see me, and I'm going to suffer again. Aha. That's the test. That's the point at which his ego suddenly went, ha, ha, and walked away. And that was exactly what it was meant to do. Only he'd already gotten up the stage. He'd taken the 3 steps. He was already in the spotlight. He regretted that immediately. I guarantee it. That's why he walked off. Now, so the way in which you can change your ego's judgments is to see them, watch them, say, oh, I see, I did it again. I judged that the guy ahead of me could have made a left again. And what's it causing me? It's causing me impatience. It's causing me frustration. It's causing me anger. Do I want all those things in my life? No. Who's causing them? Well, my ego would say it's the guy up front that didn't make the left turn in time. He could have made that turn. He didn't make the turn. I can't change that. The one thing I can change to eliminate the suffering that comes from all the anger, frustration, pent-up anxiety is me. I can change me. And how do I do that? By watching my ego. So as soon as my ego starts doing this and looking up ahead to see if the oncoming car has got enough space for him to make the left, I go, oh, I see you, ego. Now, sometimes you can say it out loud. You say, I see what you're doing. And all of a sudden the ego will straighten up. It knows it got caught. It got caught judging the situation, judging for somebody else that doesn't even know you're involved, frustrating you, getting you angry and upset, making you suffer. You see, all suffering comes from us, and it usually comes from our ego. When our ego doesn't get what it wants, what it anticipates, what it dictates that it should have, it gets angry, it gets frustrated, it gets annoyed, and we suffer. So that's where the suffering comes from. Or it might be anticipating something. I hope I get this. I hope it's coming. I hope it's coming in the mail today. It didn't come. I'm so let down. I'm suffering. Why? Because my ego anticipated something that didn't happen. Well, that's just my ego. I'm suffering because of my ego. And I guarantee you are too. So the way in which we change that, as each time we start to have an anticipation, oh, it's coming today. I bet it's going to come today. You say, ego, I see you doing it already. Let's wait and see. Let's just wait patiently and see what happens. If it comes, it's a great surprise. If it doesn't, no big deal. Now, in spiritual circles, we would call that non-attachment. I'm not attached to it. I anticipate it coming, but I'm not attached to when it arrives. If it doesn't come today, it'll come tomorrow. If it doesn't come tomorrow, maybe the next day. If it doesn't come after a week or two, then I'll get concerned enough to make a call, write an email, do something to see where it is. But otherwise, I leave it alone now. In the past, I'd been, where is it? Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, not anymore. That's all my suffering going on. That's what I call suffering. Like, when's it going to be here? Oh, I'm so upset. Well, you don't have anything to be upset about. It's just not here yet. The only thing that causes us to suffer is us anticipating and getting upset and worried, nervous, anxious about it for no real reason, except our own ego is judging when we should have it. They said it was going to be 3 days. It's now 4 days. Where is it? Have you ever done those things? Well, you're doing them to yourself. And the best way to handle it, as soon as you hear yourself saying, they said 3 days and it's now 4 days. Oh. What difference does it make? I'm not attached to the outcome anymore. I let it go. And all the anxiety and stress I was feeling 5 minutes earlier is literally gone. I don't have any stress as a result. And what does that do for you? It also knocks down the ego mindset of pushing us into the future, judging everything, or taking us into the past. And as a result, what can we do? We can be present in a stress-free situation, stress-free mindset. That's the idea. I'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. So these are the ways in which you can actually watch your own ego. Simply observe it by seeing it when it does what it does. It's either judging, it's taking you to the past, or it's taking you to the future. As soon as you catch it doing any of those things, you go, oh, I see what I just did. Now, here's the trick for that. You may see it after the fact. You're already nervous. You're already anxious. So let go of it. Say, I don't need to carry that any longer. I can let that go now. And put it in the back of your mind that the next time that arises where my mind is going to drag me into the past or into the future or into judgment, I'm just going to see it. I'm going to observe it. I'm going to watch it. Become the watchful watcher. And when you see the ego starting to formulate those thoughts, you go, I see what you're about to do. Let's not do that. Let's not go there. Let's just stay here in the present. You see, it's a habit. We've all formed the habit to go into the future and worry and stress out over it. What purpose does it have? Now, it serves a good purpose if you're going to organize or prepare or do something necessary to complete the actions of the future. But if it's just to keep track of the future, let it go. It doesn't make a big difference. Just let it go. And when you do that, you're going to notice a big change in your life. Because when you just let it go, it's not causing the suffering it used to cause. It's just been let go of. And then you can be able to be back to presence, back to quietness in your mind, just here now. And that's the essence of the work. That's what really makes a difference. And that's how you become present in the moment. I hope all that helps you. By the way, each week we do a Wednesday night borrowing benefits group here at our Center for Inner Healing, in which we do emotional freedom technique, which is an acupressure technique that looks a little silly sometimes, but it works like a charm. These are the actual tapping points that we use. And all these points are attached to certain meridians in our bodies. And when we are in that stressed out condition, when we're caught up in the future or judgment or some sort of suffering, one or more of our meridians is blocked. And if we access it by focusing on whatever we're struggling with, we can actually tap and eliminate the blockage, and it actually goes away on the spot. We do a whole group here every Wednesday night, and you're invited. Even beginners are welcome. It starts at 7 p.m. sharp and goes until 9, and it's very reasonable. We also have a thing called, by the way, we do that at our Center for Inner Healing, and you can find out more about that at centerforinnerhealing.com, centerforinnerhealing.com. And that's located at 26 St. Paul's Place, Hempstead, New York, 11550. Or you can contact us by phone at 516-248-6600. We also have a thing called a tapathon. And a tapathon is a Sunday night tapathon. We do that at 7 o'clock during regular hours. And then summertime, it's during daylight savings time, it's at 8 o'clock. But we do it at 7 o'clock, and it's a 1-hour show. And you can call in for free and do EFT with me over the phone. And I work with one volunteer per hour, and everybody else who's on the phone says the same words as that person, but gets great benefit from it simultaneously. It's a wonderful opportunity to actually work with your issues on the spot and get real relief from stress, anxiety, fears, worries, angers, all kinds of different things. And we do that every Sunday night at 7. Again, to find out more information about that, go to our website at centerforinnerhealing.com. That's all spelled out, centerforinnerhealing.com. And last but not least, we have this show on Monday evenings on cable and on Saturday and Sunday on Fios. And we do all of these things so we can help you become more present. That's the whole idea of everything we do here, is bringing people into the present moment, showing them how to maintain presence, showing them how to be present, and how to do it in a group setting or individually when you're home alone, doing whatever you're doing. I believe that presence is the ultimate state of mind to attain. What that means is when you're present, you're just here, now. There's no past, there's no future, there's nothing to think about, worry about, sweat over, or even judge. It's just being here now. And that's what this whole show is about. It's dedicated to presence. I've been working in this field for nearly 20 years now, and I find for me, during the times that I'm present, it makes all the other parts of life worthwhile. Because when you're present, you're truly here. And what happens is life actually opens up and you discover that heaven is right here on earth, right now, available to you in every moment. And I think that's a wonderful place. That's why I like being here, in heaven on earth. And you can do that too, by the way. This is not something that's reserved for just a few people. It's available to everyone, all the time. It's just about quieting the conscious mind, quieting the ego mind, which is one and the same as the conscious, and just being here. That's what this is all about. So thank you for being here with me today, and I hope you'll come back and join us again, same time, same place, as we, together, learn to live in the present moment. Have a wonderful day.